Welcome to my channel. I'm Al, and today I'm hooking you up for Valentine's Day. We will be starting to see lots of Valentine's Day treats that are in the stores that contain sugar and lots of allergens that some of us can't have. So with that in mind, I've decided to make peanut butter brownies with peanut butter hearts on them. Yay! The world is so much better with peanut butter in it. And if your family can't have peanut butter, you can always substitute the peanut butter for another nut butter like almond or cashew butter. So these brownies are the cakey type. Sometimes I'm in the mood for the gooey type, sometimes I'm in the mood for the cakey type. Today, you guessed it, I'm in the mood for the cakey type. So let's begin. You want to start the oven, preheat it at 325 degrees. I have all my ingredients pre-measured. You might want to do that. It just makes the whole process just a little easier and quicker. I will be using this pan that has a divider in it because it gives you the right amount of proportions and size. So it just makes life a little easier. Why not? You can find a pan like this one or a pan exactly like this one that is online. It ranges anywhere from $11 to $50 depending on which pan you choose. So let's begin with the peanut butter. I take 2 cups of peanut butter. It's basically a jar. So and the peanut butter I use is just organic peanut butter with salt in it. That's it, no sugar. I've decided and started putting the recipe in the description so you can look for it there as well. So I have 2 cups of peanut butter in this bowl, and then I'm going to put the wet ingredients next, and we'll fill this up with the wet ingredients, and then we'll add the dry ingredients. It should make it just a little bit easier to work with peanut butter. Okay, so I'm going to start with 2 eggs, and then I put 2 teaspoons of the vanilla stevia in it already. And of course these are organic ingredients, non-GMO organic ingredients as much as possible. I'm just going to swirl that together. So it's nice and smooth. When you put your peanut butter in the bowl, make sure you have it nicely mixed. Some of the peanut butters out there are the no stir, and some are the ones that, like the one I used, the oil rises to the top and it separates from the peanut butter, and the nut part settles to the bottom. Well, you want to make sure that's nicely mixed prior to baking. Then I'm going to go ahead and put a ½ cup of coconut oil in here. You can also use another type of oil if you don't want the taste of coconut in your brownies, or you can use I use unrefined. You can also use refined coconut, and I hear that the refined coconut oil doesn't taste so much like coconut. But you can also use some other type, even butter. You can use butter if you prefer. All right, got that mixed up nicely there. Okay, and 1/4 cup of milk. Nicely mixed. Just makes it easier to mix as you go. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some chocolate. I'm using this chocolate. Again, I'll be putting it in the description. It's unsweetened. It's just 100% cocoa, and I've sweetened it with a couple of teaspoons of stevia and 2 scoops of this pure monk. but I would just sweeten it to your liking prior to baking. And you just melt the chocolate. I melted this chocolate in the microwave. It took me 1 minute and 20 seconds. I stirred every 30 seconds to make sure that it melted evenly. Okay. I think we got that all in as much as I can possibly get in there. All right, scoop that out. All right, I'm gonna mix that up. Yum, that looks good by itself. Okay, now we're gonna start adding our dry ingredients in here. I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm gonna mix that into the sugar so it's nice and even and doesn't gather in here. I'll put it in here. In this bowl, I'm using Swerve. I put 2/3 cup of Swerve and 2 tablespoons of Swerve. So it's 2/3 cup and 2 tablespoons of Swerve, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda is in there. I'm gonna mix that up a little bit so it mixes evenly in the batter. And then I've also put 2/3 cup cocoa powder, baking powder, and 2 tablespoons of baking cocoa powder. I do even amounts of sugar to the baking powder, the sugar to the cocoa powder, not the baking powder. We don't want that much baking powder in it. It would be gross. Anyway, I put the even amounts of both. And then I'm mixing that all together. I'm mixing that prior to putting it into this bowl. Okay, now I'm going to slowly start adding some of the powder in and mixing into the bowl. If you find that you start mixing it and it's too dry, you can add a little bit more oil or a little bit more milk. You don't want too dry of a batter. You don't want your brownies to be dry. But I'd wait until I mixed it all together. Looks like it's getting pretty moist there. Yep, almost done. A little bit more to go. Just dump the rest in there. Alright. Okay. Before I began, I did oil this pan. Even though this is a non-stick, I went ahead and oiled it with some coconut oil all the way around so that it doesn't stick. I'm going to switch this to this. Looks like it's doing pretty good. It looks like it's nice and moist. Plenty of oil in there. Yep, it's nice dough-like. Yep, that looks good. Make sure all the peanut butter has cocoa in it so you don't see little streaks of peanut butter yet, because I'm going to be making little hearts, peanut butter hearts, when these are done cooking. Okay, I think it's ready to put in the pan. I'm just going to plop this right in there. Should be pretty easy to stick in here. Now you can see this. Kind of like, I always say Play-Doh, but it is. It's very similar to Play-Doh. Look like it'll be moist enough when it's done cooking. Now these are going to cook anywhere from 20 minutes to 25 minutes, but watch them at 20 minutes or right before it gets to 20 minutes. Make sure they don't overcook. Again, the oven has to be at 325. Preheat. Alright, that was easy enough to put in the pan. Just like that. I'm happy with this. Looks good. Looks good. So I'm going to put this divider in now. This is also oiled. Stick that right in there. See how beautiful it's going to be when it's done. Okay, now we're going to stick this in the oven, and then we'll make the hearts and then give it a try. Okay, now it's time to make the hearts, and we're making them out of peanut butter and powdered sugar substitute. I'll be using 1/3 of the organic peanut butter, non-GMO peanut butter, and 2 tablespoons of powdered monk fruit sweetener, or there's also Swerve has a powdered sugar as well. And I'm using this heart-shaped cookie cutter. It's small enough to fit on the brownie for each individual one. So I'm going to mix the 1/3 peanut butter into the bowl and until it's nice and smooth. Again, the oil and peanut butter is mixed, perfectly together, and I'll add 2 tablespoons of the monk fruit. I recommend that you break down the powdered sugar into another bowl first, because it gets these balls, these little balls, and you want it nice and smooth prior to adding it to the peanut butter so that you get an easier mix. And it should come out something like this, like a Play-Doh. And then you're going to take that, it comes out, there's a good amount, you'll get a good amount of it, so you'll just get a little piece of that, and so you can shape it into the heart. I put a little bit of the powdered sugar on parchment paper, and so I can make my shapes. And I usually take a little piece, because it's smaller than this, so it just kind of fits into the heart. That way I don't have a whole lot to peel away when I cut into that. And then I'll take it in here, wiggle it a little bit, and then you might have to do it a few times to make sure that, because as it gets warm, it's harder to separate. I'll just get a little bit of the powdered sugar onto the paper and my hands. You can also use tapioca powder for the when you're making your designs, and it's a little easier to handle at that point. The heart should just come right out without a problem. Get a perfect little heart. Then you take your brownie and then you place the heart on top. Just so. Just so, and then you have a nice Valentine treat. You could also bake them, do all your decorations and bake it with your brownies prior. They still should hold their shape nicely, like these ones did. I even made some X's and O's. You can just play with it and do all kinds of different fun designs. So now it's time for the taste test. We need to find out if they're as good as they look. If these do look yummy. That's the good stuff. And as usual, I just want to remind you, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell, and leave a comment. I'll see you next time.